Looking over at the crossover segment, one thing that I've talked about lately is how it is starting to grow on me. Now, certainly I love big SUVs, but when they literally start to grow, well, that's starting to fit more of my equation. Hey, welcome to Station Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now, behind me is the all-new 2022 Hyundai Tucson, and with it means some big changes, well, when it comes to overall size. The Tucson has grown by getting rid of the short wheelbase mentality and embracing the long, basically pushing the tires to the four corners, equating to great interior volume. That also means very little overhang at the front and the rear end. You could say proverbially trimming the fat. So how do the numbers play out? Well, overall this vehicle has grown by about half a foot, about a half inch wider and a half inch taller. Looking at the numbers, about 182 inches overall. Wheelbase again stretched to around about 108. That's about a 3.5 inch increase. Also, what you're going to find is just over 73 inches wide and 65 inches tall. What it all means is great exterior cargo volume there at the back and an increase in passenger comfort. Now, when it comes to exterior design, you can say they definitely have chiseled things up compared to back in 2020 was a little bit smoother around the edges. Now, Hyundai refers to this as a powerful forward motion kind of look with the geometric shapes and lines. Now, it provides a nice contrast with its sleek silhouette and kind of masculine overall look. Now, this vehicle comes in front-wheel drive or the as-tested all-wheel drive, really giving you that off-road worthiness when you need it. Coupling nicely with that is this lower fascia, really minimizing scrapes and dings from the off-road road harshness that could sling up here on the side. Now, at the four corners, you're seeing 235/55 wrapping a 19-inch wheel, which has a dual-tone look to it and couples nicely with the accents around this vehicle. Now, as you sweep around this vehicle, you're going to see a lot of design elements, specifically here at the back end with this huge sweeping rear taillight assembly really illuminates the back end. But you're also going to notice when it's not in use, the darkened lenses blend quite nicely into the overall styling. What also blends in quite nicely is, well, the rear windshield wiper. Instead of it being typically placed here, actually tucked up underneath this elongated rear spoiler, hiding the operation, something I mentioned on lots of other the competition and something that's done quite well here on this vehicle. Now, this vehicle still falls short of the mid-size segment, making it quite easy to maneuver in the tight spots, the urban jungle and off-road. And what helps with that is the surround view, pretty much cameras on the side, the front, and here at the back end, and naturally the parking sensors that go with that as well. Now, the big story, of course, is, well, how much bigger this vehicle is, and what it all equates to is here at the back end. First off, you're not going to find the electronic release up here. That would be preferred for someone my height, because instead it's kind of a back-bending affair to sweep down here into this little niche. Once you get there, there is a nice electronic release, this one being a powered rear hatch option. Once it gets up out of the way, what you're going to see is what awaits here, specifically about a 7 cubic feet increase from around about 31 cubic feet to, as you see it, around about 38, giving you tons of acreage and plenty of space to throw things inside. And where this really come into play is when we wanted to go off the beaten path, not with this vehicle, but with our bikes. We're able to slide adult bikes in here with ease, lay the second row flat. Once you lay that flat, that's going to give around about 74 cubic feet, and again, plenty of acreage to really store what you need inside. Now, in one of my recent shows, I talked about the importance of what lies beneath the rear cargo floor. No, it doesn't have anything to do with extra space, but instead the ability to have a spare tire. And a lot of manufacturers are sometimes getting rid of this option, and thankfully that wasn't the case on another test drive a couple weeks ago, because, well, we picked up some road harshness, got a flat tire, and thankfully on that vehicle it had such equipment. This week, I'm testing it out again. Wanted to make sure there is that safety option there when I need it. Before we do that, let's talk about the access getting to that area. First off, what you're going to see is a huge rear cargo floor. It does have kind of this bend right here, so it does allow you to kind of lift it, gain some extra space down below when you need it. What you're also going to notice is that when you slide it forward, it will drop down to a lower tier. Then you can slide it back. That's going to give you a couple clicks more of cargo space, extra height when you need it. But the big story is what lied beneath this floor. First off, just simply slide this back out, remove it all together, and you're going to see a nice spare tire option. This one being a 17-inch, so it doesn't match identical to the vehicle, but it is quite nice size and delivers that extra reassurance Now, I mentioned earlier how we went off the beaten path, not with this vehicle, but with our bikes, so we need to slide them inside, and thankfully it's made quite easy transferring it from people to cargo. What you're going to notice is a handle on the outer side, split back here about a 70-30 kind of design. Just simply tug right here, then it's going to lay flat in one fell swoop. And what I like is I typically keep the front seat almost in its furthest back position, and being able to lay this flat without removing the headrest is making life so much simpler. Then just simply go over there, pull that down, and you've got one nice seamless cargo floor. Now, this vehicle delivers body color all the way around down to the mirrors and the door handles, but it does have touches of brushed chrome here and there, but that all gives pause to the grille warfare with this high polish right through the middle. But that even gives pause to the daytime running lights here stacked on the side and sweeping across, really illuminating the front end. Heck, to find the headlights, you got to look even further. Those tucked down low, really giving the whole front end a dressed up and illuminated and striking front end. Now, when it comes to power in the hood, you're seeing a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder, delivers around about 187 horses and 178 foot-pounds of torque, coupled nicely to an 8-speed automatic transmission. The biggest change is not just seen on the outside, but also on the inside. First off, with the infotainment system and climate controls, traditional knobs are gone. Everything really at the surface, instead being buttons that are just barely an arm stretch away. Now, if you're used to traditional knobs like I am, this does take a little bit of getting used to. Mainly in some cases, you just have to find the interaction. Like in this case, to change the station, it is the little buttons found here. That can be a little bit more arduous as you're driving to kind of locate that, but once you get to it, not too bad. The best thing is it's a nice and sleek design. Now, down below, really the climate controls, keeping everything nice and sleek like you see here. Individual front temperatures on either side, fan speed found here in the middle. One thing you'll notice is that it doesn't interact with the screen up above, and that's mainly because this is so intuitive. No reason to duplicate it, and these are barely a glance away, so I like how it's just nice and streamlined across the front center dash. Coupling nicely with the infotainment system is the LCD display for the gauge cluster. Not traditional here, digital readout for speed and the implied analog tach there on the right. Now, you do have a nice numerical number in the middle. That is just a better glance at versus the old school method here on the left side. Now, obviously in the middle there, tons of various information. First off, down here on the lower portion, that's going to be the radio select. Over on the right side, that's going to be the other information that you just kind of scroll through. Digital displays really are at the forefront of where gauge clusters are headed. Just underneath the dash, literally this little niche area, that's going to be able to store some devices, and it does have a connectivity in the form of 2 USBs and traditional power outlet. What it also has is kind of this tray down here. That's not going to be the wireless portion. This will just house some items, but instead, if you want the wireless, that's going to be found here, kind of positioned back. I do like the fact that the way you position it means you can't really look at your phone. It's almost positioned away from you. Therefore, you're going to need to Bluetooth it and interact in a non-traditional way through the infotainment system. But while it's connected, it does have charging up, which indicates right here. Now, one thing I have found with the wireless charging, not all created equal, not the fastest charging capabilities, but it does allow the phone to just sit there, go wireless, and inevitably charge up. Between the front occupants, you will find dual cup holders, nice springy material to keep the drinks in place. Moving over here, you will find non-traditional when it comes to gear shifting. Instead of the old school method, you're going to find push button options. Up to you which you prefer. This works just fine for me, and again, keeps everything nice and sleek. Now, one option that I thought was kind of more of a premium level, wouldn't see it here, are the air-conditioned front seats. And what I like is how they come on automatically here in the heat of the summer, automatically help cool the seats down. Do have heated seats as well and a heated steering wheel. Other options you're going to find up here is the downhill assist, parking sensors on and off, and also the camera views for parking. One thing I liked is this button right here, which is the auto stop, auto start feature for the engine. I typically like to leave that off, just don't like the starting and stopping up. What you also find is various driving modes. Just simply toggle through. You'll find snow, smart, sport, and normal. What's even better is what happens to the gauge cluster. As you change, you're going to see the gauge cluster reflect what mode you're in. Get into sport and kind of has this flashy red look. Go to normal, obviously looks normal. What you're going to find is a nice center console between the front occupants, giving great elbow support. Once it pops up, you're also going to find deep cavernous area, and also going to find no LED lighting, so it is going to be quite dark at night, pretty much meaning once you put things in here, you have to fiddle around to find them in the darkness. Hyundai really has perfected a lot of safety mechanisms, first off with the surround view, blind spot awareness, and also the adaptive cruise control, which you're going to find here on the right side. This does have kind of that modest steering assist, which helps center you in the lane and again minimizes driver fatigue. Now, it does for this edition reward and a test drive behind the wheel of the 2022 Hyundai Tucson, a vehicle that has grown both when its overall size and grown on me. Basically, because anytime you can add extra interior volume and make it so much more comfortable for the 6'2" frame, well, I'm all in. Now, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. Keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.